Hey, welcome back to Awaken Your Life with Angel. I'm your host, Dr. Angel Jabali. I am a quantum health coach, and in today's episode, we're talking about how the world around us is really a reflection of what's going on inside of us. It's kind of like how quantum physics shows us that things change based on how we look at them. So, what we're going to do is dive a little more and understand about the entire thing of law of attraction. Now, when it comes to law of attraction, it suggests that anything, any individuals, they are always attracting events, situations, people based on what is resonating with their energy or their mindset. That means all kind of thoughts they have, the feelings, the beliefs that they hold within themselves usually manifest to what they see in the real world. Now, when we talk about the law of attraction, we say the word law. The law basically means that it cannot be broken down, it cannot be override. Now, there are 12 laws in the universe that cannot be override. These laws are for real and you can't get rid of them. It's different than a theory. Now, when you go through science, there's a lot of theories, and that means a lot of experiments has been done that supports that theory. But doesn't mean they're absolute law. There has been some exceptions that might make that theory become completely false. But when it comes to the 12 universe laws, these ones do not change. They are forever there and they're applying to any single person or entity in the planets in the entire universe. Now, there's about 12 universe laws. We're not going to go through all of them. We're going to focus just on the law of attraction. But what are the other 12? There's the law of divine oneness, the law of vibration, the law of correspondence, the law of inspired action, the law of perpetual transmutation of energy, the law of cause and effect, which we know as karma, the law of compensation, the law of relativity, the law of polarity, the law of rhythm, and the law of yin yang, to some consider as law of a gender. Now, these laws cannot be changed. They are absolute the truth that applies to every single possible particle in the entire universe. But let's continue with the idea of law of attraction. When we talk about the law of attraction, you got to think of yourself as a projector. What does that mean? For those who actually saw what a projector were in the back in the 80s and 90s, it's a little box in which you put a little tiny little slip in there, and then the light will hit on that little slip, and then it will project into a screen. So it's the same thing with you. All your thoughts, your beliefs, words, feelings, emotions, whatever's coming from inside of you will project out of you as if you are the projector. And whatever you see on the outside as your world, that's your reality. So basically, everything that is you see in front of you truly is coming from what it's inside of you. So you live in a reality that can be so many possibilities from good and bad, but it all comes based on what you believe. So when people say, oh, but that's my real world, that's not true. That's coming from inside. So you can have two people sitting in a room and one person can say, my entire world is a bunch of people that are selfish and egocentric. And the other one's going to say, my entire world is just as people being generous. And they both live in maybe in the same city. They might even be in the same, street. But because they have different beliefs, they're only going to see on that street what they believe. So they're only going to be bumping into people that are according to their beliefs. The guy who believes in generosity will see people who are generous, and the person who sees somebody that is very selfish will only be surrounding to it. But there is even more to that. We have going to dig into it. You have to understand that you are always projecting whatever is the thoughts and beliefs that you have inside of you, that's exactly what you're going to see. So usually you can fight with people and say, you cannot tell me that's the truth because I have so many evidence to give it to you. And I'm telling you, you only have the evidence outside of you is because you are projecting from inside. So when you say that, for instance, let's pick a country here. Let's say United States, New York. New York is very violent. Oh, I can show you all the evidence. I can show you the stats and everything. Guess what? That's exactly what you're going to get in the Google because from the inside, you project it to the world and that's what Google's going to show up to you. But I guarantee you that somebody else who has completely thinking the opposite, that New York is such a creative place and that New York is a place where people join their forces to build something, he probably will find that as an evidence. So we are always finding evidence to support what's inside of us. And you know why is that? Because the universe loves us. And to some, universe is the same thing as God. And God loves us unconditionally. They will give whatever we ask. And that means whatever beliefs we want, that's exactly what we're going to get. So We are talking about this law. Now, we actually have in the science department that has an experiment that helps supports the idea of law of attraction, and that is the double slit experiment. It's already been over a year that this experiment has been done, but I'm going to explain to you how this experiment actually supports the idea of law of attraction. Now, double slit experiment was something done by Thomas Young in 1801. That's a very long time, and it has been building on, and it does challenge the Newton's physics. Because they all believe that particles are just behaving like any other particles objectively as an object, and that's it. But this experiment is basically saying that what's inside of those particles, which we call the subatomic particles, they're not just these tiny little hard objects. They actually can behave like a wave, which means they can behave into so many different types of possibilities. They're not just going to be a hard rock, tiny little thing. So let's put it this way. Let's say you have a table, and in that table they are made of wood, and you know that that wood is made of little particles of solid, right? And the solid makes that shape of a nice little round rectangle thing. But if you actually take that one piece of that table, right, and you zoom in into a microscope, you will see extra small little pieces solid. And then you get to electron microscope and you do the same thing, and you zoom in, it's even more tiny. Now, when you keep zooming in to a point that those particles are extremely tiny, that you cannot see through your naked eye, you cannot even see through a microscope. It has to be even more developed microscope. These particles will not be behaving as a solid particle. It can be behaving two ways. It can behave as a solid particle or as a wave. Completely different than what we think. So just to give you an example to understand a little bit more the difference between wave particles and solid particles. When we think of wave particles, we're talking about the water waves, the sound waves, the light waves, radio waves, microwaves. They have particles going through a certain frequency, fast, slow, whatever it is. When you talk about solid particles, we're talking about, think of the sand, the little grains that come out of the sand. Think of the dust, the particles, they're very solid, like salt and sugar crystals, they're extremely solid. Even snowflake, they are solids. But if you really go inside of these particles, right, all the way to the atom, to the tiniest little atom that has, the protons, neutrons, electrons, and then inside of these guys, you go even more into the smallest piece, you will notice that they don't just act like a solid particle. They can also behave like a wave on a quantum level. So, to give you another sense, like if you ever think about these little kids, they have this little box that has an entrance shapes like of a square, of a triangle. So, you only can put the triangle solid into a triangle hole, and you can only put a square, solid into a hole of a square. Only that way it will fit in. Like a Tetris game in the back in the days, you have a space that you want to put it in, it has to fit exactly as a solid. Now, when it comes to water, which is a wave, it takes the shape of whatever container it is in. So it can take a shape of a pool, it can take a shape of a bottle of water, it can take the shape of the cup. So as a wave, it can take the shape of whatever the surrounding is. So it's more different possibilities, right? So the wave can be into anything, while the solid, it's fixed. It's going to have a specific shape. So it cannot change from that shape. That's the difference between a wave and a solid particle. Wave can become anything, while a solid one will be fixed. So let's get into the double slit experiment. So, of course, they had this laser gun, and in this laser gun, they were going to shoot into this huge platform that has two large rectangle holes vertically. Again, it is vertically two little rectangle holes. And after that, there is right behind these two holes, there's a wall, and in that wall is receiving these particles. Every time a particle hits that wall, it gives like a stain, like as if it's creating an image. So when you have that gun shooting through those two holes, what you're going to expect to appear on that board behind? Only the two holes, right? Because it's a solid particle. So imagine if you actually had a paintball. If you throw the paintball between those two holes, obviously as you go straight through the holes, it's going to go straight to the other side, and it's going to make exactly the same shape as those two holes, because that's the only way that paint can go through. But it was not going to go anywhere else, because if it does, it's going to get hit on the outside and it's never going to get into those particles. For those who don't understand what I'm saying, it's better if you actually see this video because it makes more sense. Now, when you actually make a wave go through those two holes, it's water, like water. If you make water go through the whole two holes, it's not like it's going to hit on the wall behind those two holes and just make two lines. Water is going to pass through those two holes and it's going to take the rest of the space and bump into the entire blackboard, making so many lines. That's because it's a wave and not solid. For you to understand more, waves have something called interference parents. Like imagine there's different waves, and when they cancel each other, they disappear. And if one is bigger than the other, it just builds up. So it can build it up or it can cancel each other. That's why you have so many lines. So let's take that solid particle that came out of the beam, right? And let's talk about, let's say, the paintball. Go inside that paintball and go all the way to the inside as the particle, as tiny as you can. Now, even though it's tiny as you can, you're going to think, okay, since it's a solid and you go all the way to the smallest particle, it's still going to be a solid. So the expectation is if you're going to pass this tiny little particle, and again, a solid particle, through those two holes, on the other side, it should make those two holes too, because it's a solid particle. Why? Because it's coming from a previous solid. But that's not what happened. When that tiny little particle passed it through those two holes, it was making many lines as if it was behaving like the water, like a wave. So they were like, that makes no sense. If a particle is coming from a solid, it should make two lines. But this particle made many lines like the water particle. And that did not make sense because, according to physics, and back in the old days, if you're solid, you will always be a solid. If you're a wave, you're always a wave. And a solid going through two holes will give you two lines. And water that goes through two holes will give you many lines. But when you took that solid and went all the way to the tiniest little part of it, like a small little piece, microscopic, all tiny, it did not do two lines. It actually did many lines. So what did they do? It's like, you know what? They tried to do this experiment very slowly in different ways, and he was still doing that. So they decided, let's put a camera there and watch what exactly is this tiny little particle doing. So when they start shooting the little tiny particle through those two holes, that tiny solid particle start doing only the two lines. It start behaving as if it was a solid particle and not a wave. So let's say I took the camera away, it start behaving like a wave and making many lines. I put the camera on and it start behaving like a solid and only showing two lines. And they're like, as if that camera is what is as that is watching that particle is looking at the camera and says, ooh, you're solid. So you believe in just two lines because you believe solid should be just two lines. So that particle did the two lines based on the belief system of that camera. Why? Because that camera is made of solid. And if the camera is made of solid, is the same thing as saying that camera believes in solid. So the little tiny particle says, I'm going to behave according to what that camera are. So it's the same thing with you on a daily basis. Think of these particles as all the particles around the entire universe. They're all surrounding you. So you have many possibilities. And let's say there's different particles with different colors, red, blue, purple, all this stuff. But each side of you, if you truly believe that the only type of particles there is are orange, guess what? You're only going to pick up the orange particles in the world, in the universe. It's the only one that is going to manifest into your reality. So you will only see those yellow or orange particles. You're not going to see anything else unless you change your belief system from within. If you change your belief system, if you start saying there are so many different color particles, then guess what? You're going to start seeing in your reality all these different types of particle. So it's not like your reality is telling what's out there. It's you from inside who's telling how your reality should look like. So clearly, there are many possibilities in the universe. And I would say not only many, I would say unlimited. Some that we cannot even imagine because we try to only look to things that we have experienced before, to the same kind of patterns before. And I'm telling you, that's not how it works. When people say, oh, I know what it is because I have experiences, I know exactly how it's going to be working. It's only going to work that way because you keep believing it's going to work that way. But there is so many different possibilities, so many outcomes. And if you're stubborn to just look in one way, yes, you're going to keep seeing that way. It's everything about your belief system. If you start believing differently, trust me, you're going to start seeing a different world. That's how it works. So it's never, the work is never from the outside. The work is always from within. And what I mean by within is that there are so many belief systems that we have, and some of these beliefs can be very limited. Like, for example, in relationship and connections, romantic partners. Believe it or not, the kind of partners that you're going to attract are the ones that have the same level as you when it comes to your self love, to your emotional openness, and your insecurities. And you will definitely push away those that don't match with you. That's why you always attract somebody that has the same energy. It doesn't necessarily mean that you guys have the same thoughts and beliefs, but you have the same kind of energy. Like you might have an insecurity towards a certain situation, while your partner might have insecurity about others. But the point is, you both have insecurities, and that might cause you guys to be together, attract each other, so you guys can point each other's security. Same thing with friendship. You see that you're mostly going to align with people who have the same kind of interests and values. Why? Because that's your energy. You're attracting people with the same energy. So here's the little hint for you. If you are attracting people who are very judgmental into your life, guess what? It's because inside of you, you are judging yourself too much. And that's the kind of people that you're attracting. These are the friends that you consider as friends are attracting you too. It's the same process. Why are these people so toxic with me? Because deep inside, you're always being toxic to yourself by talking down to yourself, criticizing you. Get the concept? Even with work relationships, your colleagues, your bosses, your mentors, reflects your level of ambition, your professionalism, and your openness to collaborations. Watch around, watch the kind of people that you're working with. When you see those people, those are the people that you're attracting to your reality. Again, because they are reflecting something inside of you. So usually those people that you hate, you're hating them because they have something that you know it's still inside of you that it's projecting out. So they are really a gift for you. So you'd realize, oh, I don't like this. So let's switch that kind of thinking. Same goes with careers and opportunities. When it comes to job offers, the positions that you will get will be based on how confident you are about your skills. You will never get a job that you're not capable of doing. Some people are going to say, oh, I disagree with this because I got a job and I didn't know what I was doing. That's on the outside, but deep inside is because you truly believe that you could get it. That's why you got it. And sometimes people will say, but I had all the skills for this job. Why I didn't get it? It's because inside you still believe that you're not good enough on those skills. So job offers comes to you based on your confidence about yourself. Same thing with any kind of opportunities to advance in what kind of profession you're going. It's a belief system. If you believe that you can always learn more, if you believe that you're capable of learning new skills, then new things will keep popping into your life. If you believe they're not smart enough, that you cannot do it, they are too much information that you can't handle, if this is what's in your core, then you will keep refusing to learn more information. Same thing with creativity projects. If you keep saying that you have no creativity, you're having this blockage and you always be stuck. But if you let it free and flow, things, creation, inspiration is going to come to you so naturally. It also, the kind of the belief can be also in financial abundance. Income level. What do we mean by that? What's your beliefs about money, about abundance, about self-worth? And so basically the bank, the amount of money that you have in the bank or the amount of money that you live under your parents, that's a reflection of your beliefs of money. Believe it or not, it's not because there's such thing as limited amount of money in the world. Money is just a paper, and that paper is made of electrons, which is energy. So money is energy actually. And it can manifest into your life any moment at any time as you wish. The only reason why it doesn't show up is because of your belief systems. Because you have this belief that you have to work so hard to get that money, or you have this belief system that money is something that you need to earn. No, money can show up anytime if you have this belief that money is an easy flow. But many people were hammered since school that you're only going to be rich if you have the highest grades, if you have the highest diploma, if you have the highest job, if you're working more than 12, 14 hours, because you have to really work hard for your money. Have you heard that songs? Well, this kind of stuff usually hammered into your brain is programming your entire body to think that way. But that's not true. And then you say, how is it that some people get so lucky making so much money without having to work hard? Because they have a different type of mentality, mindset, a belief system. Same thing goes with spending. Some people believe in holding that money and not spending a single cent. And there's people who barely have money but keep spending. So all of these belief systems can manipulate your reality. And it goes to health and wellness. Okay, when it comes to the state of your physical body, it all aligns with how much self-care you have towards yourself. Like, also how you deal with your stress levels and your belief about health. All of this truly shows out there. Same thing with your mental health. Everything that comes to your emotional and your mental well-being reflects what kind of thoughts are you happening every single day. What is your belief? Like, some people believe that aging is something inevitable, that you cannot do it. That's not true. And there's a lot of people that are always scared of growing older, when the truth is you can continue being young as long as you're enjoying your life and keeping happy and not stressing so much in the tiny little things. So many belief systems that can cause you to get older or sicker faster, or be healthy and enjoy life. Your energy levels also has a big impact on you. See, many people don't know how to balance their energy. So they usually are drained by the end of the day because they didn't know how to balance between work, rest, and enjoying your life. And that's a belief system. Some parents are going to say, you're going to have to work really hard, two, three jobs. Your first 10 years of your life, it's all about working professionalism so you can become the successful person. And then you can think about having fun. And then that person end up believing this. And then they feel like they're stuck in the work world. Other people be the completely opposite. You're too young to think about work. You're just supposed to go have fun. So this kind of belief system is what creates your reality. Believe it or not, when it comes to living environment, the state and the feel of your living space, which reflects your level of self-care, comfort, and creativity. So if your home is in a mess, it's disorganized, that's what's actually happening inside of you. If you feel your house is very much a war zone and there is not much peace, that's exactly how you feel from the inside, and that's why it's projecting into your house. The same thing with your community, your environment. If you think that the environment is very toxic and everybody's judging everybody and everybody is backstabbing, guess what? You're doing that to yourself. That's from within. The same thing goes with your room. If your room is very messy, most likely it's because inside of you, you got a huge mess in your mind. And if your room is clear and clean, it is the opposite. Not that I'm saying that we have to be OCD here and clean our room, but that is also a state of you cannot function, everything is in place. This is over controlling. So again, it's a belief system. Same thing goes with other types of opportunities, such as self development paths. The types of books that you choose, the books that you see in front of you, are the ones that you have inside of you desire. And all the types of situations that come to your life. Like, I can give you an example of a person that I know that believes that nobody supports him. And because of that, he always ends up in situations where he gets backstabbed, or the people just, turn their back and say, I'm sorry, but I cannot help you. And he believes so hard that nobody's there to support him. And then when I talk to him that you have to change, like, but look, I have this person who didn't support me at that moment. I have that person. And I'm just listening to him and I'm like, yeah, because that's what you believe. And because you believe, that's exactly what you're going to see. And if you switch that, if you start by saying the opposite, with time, you will start believing what you're saying and things are going to show up. I did this one little test with one of my friends, and I told her, like, this was actually in Lebanon with her, and I was like, if I told you that you can easily see orange cars pass through, and we were laughing about it, yeah, right. And literally 2 hours later, she calls me, you're not going to believe this. I actually saw an orange car on the day. She was not seeing any orange cars for many weeks. And as soon as I said that, it popped out. It's the same thing. If you're thinking about a friend that you haven't talked in a long time, and out of the blue, your friend sends a message, it's kind of like a calling. It's an energy that you're bringing into your reality. So every thoughts and feelings that you have will project. And even your spiritual growth, the more you think about spirituality, the more likely you're going towards that awakening, because you're questioning things and you deepen your knowledge about religions and about spirituality. And the more you do this, the more you're able to understand about yourself and explore that kind of area of the universe. So really, every single thought you have Even your feelings, the kind of mood, the vibe, the way you start your day can unfold. If you start very grumpy, more likely going to attract situations that keep you grumpy. And some people say, oh, I'm grumpy until I get my coffee. That's a belief system too. So you always going to wake up grumpy because you truly believe that you're grumpy until you get that coffee. And when you drink that coffee, you feel much better. That's a belief system. It isn't that coffee that made you feel better. It's just that you put all your trust on that coffee. So if you say, no, I will wake up always happy, and you start believing it, you will wake up without the need of anything to make you happy. And people who wake up hopeful, grateful, usually have an amazing day compared to those who wake up bitter or resenting their lives. They are more likely to have more conflicts and challenges throughout the day. So really, it's always about your thoughts and emotions. And when you're interacting with strangers, I'm going to tell you this, that sometimes your state is going to attract some people that you're like, why is this person being so mean to me? And the truth is because you probably woke up being mean to yourself, saying, oh my God, why am I always so late? Or shoot, I should have done whatever project for this job or for this university or whatever it is. So, what I try to say in life is simple, that whenever we are talking about your beliefs, your thoughts, and emotions, that's what you're going to see in front of you. So, whenever you're going out there and achieving any kind of success and certificates, diplomas, and stuff, this is how you feel on the side. You feel really ready. And if you get feedback from others that are very positive, it means that you're being very kind to your mind and you're really loving yourself. So if people love you, there's love for you. If there's a part of you that you hate about yourself, you're going to attract people that will hate that part of yourself. Even the way people look at you from the outside, it's based on you. Says, why does this people tinkling me? I'm like this because somewhere deep inside you actually believe them. And you might believe them because you've been imposed so many times to believe the situation. So at the end of all of this is that you attract what reflects you. So for for today's world, what I want you to do is tomorrow when you wake up, start being aware of what you have attract. The house you are in, the people that you live in, the people that you interact in at work, at schools or university, start watching them instead of, interacting in a sense of reacting to what people are doing. Just sit there and observe what exactly is your world, because that's exactly what are your beliefs will come out from. If you have a hard day, that's most likely because that's your belief system, that you think that life is hard. If you have an easy day where everybody helps you out, most likely you believe that there's always support. If you are always fearing money and you're starting to get bills after bills, that's your belief system. So truly, the world around you is your projector. It's basically your screen telling you, hey, these are your belief system. Is this what you want? That's what is your body is trying to show you through the five senses, through your seeing, your hearing, your smelling, your tasting, your touch. That's what it's telling you. This is who you are. So ironically, when you're out there judging the world, buddy, you're judging you. Because all of these things that you see, they're just coming from within you. And this is why we always say in therapy, there is no point in trying to change the people, changing the world. There's no point in that. You can try to be kind, you can try to be loving and everything, but if you don't start with you first, it will not work. That's why you eventually get drained of energy because you're trying so hard to change people. But I guarantee you, if you stop putting the blame on the outside and start going from within and analyzing every single thing that you think about, all the emotions that rise up as you think something, I guarantee you that you will start to see some of the belief systems and say, I see why this show up in my life. And when that really shows up in your life, you're going to say, oh, I see. This is the belief that I'm having. So I can give you another example. Like there's some girls that come and say, well, in my relationship, I can't trust men because they always cheat. And they will keep cheating them. And they keep saying this and repeating them. When you keep saying that, guess what? You are putting a belief system, and the universe is like your father that loves you unconditionally. So it says, yeah, men always cheat. Guess what the universe says? Your order is my command. I love you. I love you so much, daughter, that I'm going to give you exactly what you're asking for. You are saying that man cheats. Okay, that's what you want. Awesome. That's what I'm going to give you. And all the particles of the universe are going to say, yes, we're going to manifest because that's what you want to see. So they start continue to give you guys into your world, which will keep cheating you. That's how it works. Now, if somebody says, oh, jobs, easy, come to my life. Like I can find jobs so easily at any moment in my life and I never have to worry. If that is a strong belief, soon as you leave one job, the next day you already have jobs popping out to your life. That's how it is. Everything is from within. So what I want to finish here is to remember that instead of judging everything outside of you, start going within. Start sitting down, start reflecting what's happening throughout the day, start watching the words you say. Be careful to the music that you're listening to because the music can be like a program. Like if it says, oh, my life, I'm always lonely, and you listen to that song and that lyric, then what are you doing? You're reprogramming your brain to think that it's always lonely, and that tells the universe to keep sending you into a world where you're just lonely. So you got to be very much aware of not falling into these traps. And the more you are aware of these limit beliefs, the more you can unchain yourself from them and have a world reflect the way you really truly want. Utopia, where you have so much self love, so much confidence, everything comes to you easily and nicely. You're full of abundance, full of health. And at the end, you can have a happy life, a heaven on earth, which is possible. It doesn't have to happen after you die. It truly can happen here on earth. It just depends on you if you're willing to do that work for yourself. So this is it. This was just a little bit glance of the law of attraction. I hope this opens a little bit of your mind to understand about how you are so powerful and everything that you do and think or be can influence what you see on the outside. So until then, remember that you can subscribe to Awaken Your Life with Angel. You know, you can find me on Instagram at that Coach Bailey. I have a YouTube channel which you can see these videos with, slides at Coach Bailey or at Dr. Angel Jabali 1111. You also have my website at www.angelajabali.com. You can have coaching service that I can be there to help you find what are these limit beliefs, work through them, and change your entire world to a place where you're extremely happy. But until then, let's awaken your life and create a healing path together. I'm always here for you guys, and I can't wait for the next episode. Thank you so much. Until the next one. Take care.